Greetings, good day to you, and thank you for joining me on another video. So a few days ago on LinkedIn, I did a post regarding using a loopback as the BGP update source. And one of the things I mentioned was that you should remember to have a policy on both sides of the equation, so on both FortiGates, to allow the loopbacks to peer with each other. Now, there was a question that was raised by somebody on LinkedIn, or rather a comment, where he stated that you didn't actually need that policy because the local in policies by default allowed all traffic on all interfaces. Well, I say all traffic, network traffic, like BGP, OSPF, and so forth. Now, that is certainly true for externally facing interfaces. It does not work with loopbacks. Now, the thing to understand with the way a FortiGate works is you have this concept of local in policies that hit the CPU. So if we think the flame here is the CPU, so that controls traffic going to the CPU. And then you've got the main policies that control traffic going across the box, all right? So in one interface and out the other interface, all right? So let's call that forward traffic as opposed to local traffic. Now, whilst the loopback is a local interface, it's not an external, it's an internal virtual interface, which means that it can actually reach out, it's allowed to reach out, but traffic coming back in can't hit this. Now let's see this, right? So let's prove this. So what we've got here, so let's look at this. So I've got location A, so while I've been talking, hopefully you've been looking at the diagram. So I've got two FortiGates, location A and hub 1. I've got a BGP AS of 6500. I've got a /30 on my WAN link here between them, and then I've got my two BGPs here set up on a /32, each one of them, and then I've got a static route so that each FortiGate knows how to get to the loopback of each other. Right. So here is the BGP configuration. So there's my AS. Here is my router ID, which is the loopback address. Here is the neighbor, which is the loopback on the other side. Remember, we're using the loopbacks here, and it's always a good idea to use loopbacks. The reason being is that you could have multiple physical interfaces. If you tied your BGP to those physical interfaces, you'd need an adjacency per interface. Whereas if you tie them to the loopback, firstly, the loopback is always up. So it doesn't matter which physical interface goes down. So long as the neighbors can have, or rather have a route, or can route to the loopback via one of the other interfaces, your BGP can remain up. But what we need to do here when we create that neighbor statement is we need to specifically tell it that the update source is the BGP loopback. Otherwise, what will happen is that when the FortiGate sends the BGP TCP traffic on port 179, it will send it out using the outbound interface, all right? So in this case, the WAN interface, right? What we want it to use the IP address of the actual loopback. So we set this update source there, right? So now, if I click here and I do a get router info, just my screen there's gone to sleep. Hold on. Close this window. I think it's been open too long. All right. Get router info BGP neighbor. So we can see here that my BGP is in a state connect. All right. Let's go to the other device. And let's go here as well. Get router info BGP neighbor. All right. So again, we're in a connect state. Now, if it were the case that the local in allowed that traffic, if I come to my policies here and I go to my local in, you can see that by default, the local in says, correctly as the person assumed, that it says here, BGP on any interface on port 179 accept. So in theory, logically, you would think that would be the case. Okay. But remember that the virtual interface, the loopback, is a virtual interface residing inside the box. So here, for example, it's saying that I should be able to ping that BGP loop, right? So if I come here and I do an execute ping source ping dash options source. Now I'm on the hub here, so this is 17.1.1.1. all right, and I do execute ping 17.1.1.2, I should be able to ping that, right? I mean, the local in policy says it's available, so I should be able to ping it. But clearly, as you can see here, it cannot. So, and again, as we see, if we go back to the routing, the BGP is in a connect state. Now, what I do have here on both is I have the firewall rule that I mentioned in my original post, but as you can see at the moment, it's disconnected, or rather disabled. So let's come back here, firewall policy again, so disabled. Now you see what this says? It says any traffic coming from BGP loop going out of port 2, coming from port 2 going to BGP loop, source, the subnet that the two loopbacks are on, accept, right? So those are disabled. Now, what I said earlier is that in actual fact, traffic egressing the box will be able to go out, all right? But traffic coming back in is going to be blocked. So what I'm going to do here is on location A, let us do a diag sniffer packet any port 179, and we'll go do that on the other side. Diag sniffer packet any port 179. Now you saw there was traffic, okay? There's traffic there, okay? And actually I can see two-way traffic, but you can see that they're all in a SYN connect state, right? So although the traffic is egressing the boxes, and there is a route, just for avoidance of doubt, so if I come here and I go to my static routes, so here I've got a static route, okay? So I know from location A to get to 17.1.1 go via the port to the external interface of the hub, and conversely here as well, I have got the reflective policy, or rather the reflective route there, okay? And I can, as I said, I can see the traffic leaving, I can see it ingressing, but I'm not getting a session state, all right? So the person wasn't wrong, but at the same time they weren't right, all right? So although the traffic's going, I'm not seeing a session state. In order to create a session state, I need to have that policy. So let's just make 100% sure. Let's look here. Okay, we're still in a connect state. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to enable those two policies. Enabled, and come this side. Set status enabled. So now if we come back here, all of a sudden now I start seeing my ACKs and my pushes, okay? And I'm on an established basis. Okay, so hopefully that clears that up, and it's even in the documentation. I did put a link to the documentation, the SD-WAN documentation of using a loopback as an update source, and even within there it said you need the policy. But you know, it's always good, seeing is believing, and that's why I thought I'd do this quick video, just so that you know, you could see it for yourself, and hopefully it would save you a lot of troubleshooting effort moving forward should you find yourself in that situation. So again, thank you very much for watching.